I have such dumb like things I wrote down. Like that one I wrote, prove you're better than anyone at anything by making them rate themselves in a skill, then add 1 to your own rating. It's like I can tell I just like thought it would be funny, and then I was like, I should talk about this on the podcast. I need to write this down. And now I don't even know why I wrote it down. Like what kicked off the idea, but it's hilarious reading it. Like, how good on a scale from 1 to 10? How good are you at cooking spaghetti?
I'm a 10.
Are you a 10? Oh, I'm 11.
Yeah. Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Waiting to Dry. And boy, where does the time go? So much to do, so much to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, I guess we kind of forgot to record it for this past week, but yeah, just because figure we both had so much to do.
Yeah, we're busy with life and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you caught a cold, right?
Yes.
Don't be afraid of Cornova.
Not the
Cornova.
Not the Cornova.
Yeah.
No one cares unless it's that one.
Right, yeah.
Once you were like, it's not that, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
come over. See me in the face. I don't give a shit. But yeah, who cares? We missed some. We've been pretty good, right? We're on a roll.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, better than we have been of late.
Yeah. So what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're back. 1 week off.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You guys are used to that, but that high standard.
So other than having a cold, anything else exciting in your life?
Really just going full in on promoting courses and stuff. That's really been the main thing taking up most of my time.
Nice. And how can people find that again?
That is on themainloop.com. That's all the info is on there. But yeah, doing three courses, 3-hour little workshop things.
Nice.
Next month. So yeah, get all the info there. Don't need to bore people by talking about all the ins and outs of that right now.
Don't need to ask me how to do anything. Just go take the course.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, artist for once. Fucking.
All right. But yeah, I've been getting people to sign up for it, so that's awesome.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. Other than that,
all your hard work, finally seeing things pay off.
Yeah, it's cool. Like it's actually been leading to other possible teaching opportunities down the line too. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, that's great seeing it kind of snowball finally. But yeah, it does take a lot of effort putting into like getting all that stuff off the ground and just letting people know that that I'm actually doing all that stuff takes a lot of repeating, I found. So yeah, it's just a matter of just coming up with new ways to say more or less the same thing over and over again, which is kind of, buy my course and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of fun, but also gets a little tiresome too, but that's all part of promoting yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
It kind of boils down to being kind of fun, but also kind of tiresome.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's not what we got in this thing for, but
right.
It is a part of being self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been interesting to in my head be really thinking about, okay, how am I gonna teach this stuff, even out in the field as I'm painting, thinking about, okay, this is talking to myself in my head, being like, okay, this is where I do this step, and this is where I'm gonna be teaching how I do this step, and just trying to remember what's actually going through my head as I do it.
Right.
And yeah, it makes things go a little slower for me personally for like the actual like creating the art part of it, but it's probably good for me to like get in that mode of, okay, I'm gonna have to explain all this stuff, so I better know how to explain it to myself first. So yeah, that's been pretty much what we've been doing. Vanessa and I have been going out plein air painting, so I've been doing that too. Like, we had a couple of really perfect beach days recently.
What exactly is plein air?
What exactly? It is painting out in the open.
Okay.
That's basically all it means.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vanessa, in a way, seems like your first student.
Yeah.
She's like she's the brown belt to your Cobra Kai.
Right, exactly. I told her strike first, strike hard, no mercy.
Yes.
But yeah, she's actually been getting better too, which is really cool to see. Like, her plein air efforts. She's been painting almost just as much as I have been lately. So
nice.
I've been seeing the progress on that, and yeah, so she's been helping me promote it too, both in actual ways and then like being able to be like, hey, here's a student of mine.
You know what you should do? You should, for a promotional video, you should make an infomercial.
Yeah, I
Where
should.
it's like, it's like over the top. Like, do you try to paint, but you can't. And the guy can't hold his brush. You're like, go, boing, boing, boing. And, yeah, and then like with 3 easy courses, and then just cut to I don't know.
Yeah, I gotta do that blue screen with the like the little inset inside of it, where it shows like, what is it, credit or money or no COD? I forget what they said.
I don't know.
At the end of those commercials all the time. But yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people, they're always fumbling with things in there.
Just in the credits, make sure to put me as producer.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, it might be a good idea. I don't know if I should say it out loud, because now I think it might be like, well, I would never do it, but maybe you would do it. So should I say it out loud?
Yeah, we got 2 hours to kill.
Well, maybe it's also might be too late too, but maybe not. But yeah, an idea of like if we were smart, right, when coronavirus hit, we should have made like a online kid course for all you parents out there having to babysit your own kids during your work schedule. I've been like arts and crafts with professional artists.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's still a thing that can be done. I don't know if I want to, though.
Yeah. I just thought of it because my brother's always like, he's like, what arts and craft project would you recommend for, because he has kids? I'm like, I don't fucking know. But now I'm thinking like, God, I could have totally just made that and been like a billionaire by now.
Yeah, no kidding. It does take a lot of work to put together a course, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, but, you know.
The payoff.
Yeah, the payoff.
That's true.
We could be like the Wiggles of
Right, yeah, exactly.
the modern day art scene, which is what our goal was when we started something.
Right, yeah.
But yeah.
See, my 5-year plan, become a Wiggle.
Can you say render?
Right.
But yeah. So someone go out there and make a bunch of money.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then put us in the credits as producers.
Yeah, that's what we need, yeah. If you could hit us up, or break us off a little royalty.
Yeah, that's a copyrighted idea. But if you want in on it, and if you want to make it, and then give us a little chunk of money.
Right.
Yeah. And we'll sponsor it on our podcast.
There you go. Yeah. Making moves here. We're building.
Who's coming with us? But we got a shitload of questions.
Yeah.
Should we just start going through them, or
do you want to just start into them? What have you been up to other than
same old shit? Like, I mean, I'm nothing pretty much since the last time we were here. I've just been working on artwork. I'm just finishing. I think I have like one more, maybe like hour or two on one more piece, and then today I'm starting my varnishing, and then after I varnish, I'm going to start framing things, and and then prepared to pack and ship.
How long do you think all that will take?
I'm thinking varnishing. I'm hoping will take like a day or two, just because of
That
space.
shouldn't take too long, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long, but I just don't have the space to like spread out 15 paintings and varnish them all at once. So I'm probably going to pace that a bit, and then
Like
frame
a good
it.
opportunity to make your varnish porn videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
For my It's OnlyFans.
Right. Yeah. I saw that you were doing should I do the untaping on OnlyFans? And people are probably like,
Yeah. I think it was like 70% said yes, you perverts.
yeah,
The 30% of you that were righteous folk.
good Christian folk. Yeah.
Yeah. Onward, Christian. So, but yeah. So that's been it. Has anything other than painting happened?
How you been liking painting those little houses?
I've been actually really enjoying them. Yeah, that was like. Did I talk to you about that before? Oh, I did like off air, I think. Right?
Yeah, a little bit when we were hanging out in the.
Yeah, as far as like an
studio.
idea I wanted to try out, and I was really happy with how they came out. So I might play around with that more.
Yeah, they look fun to paint, like kind of relaxing in a way. Where it's just
Yeah.
like planes, shapes.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. The houses I like more than the boats, and I like how they look more than the boats. So I might just play around with how doing all these like little houses and figuring out forms that might be interesting, and seeing how I could still kind of insert a narrative through such a simple like thing.
Like other things being like other than houses and boats, or like overall shape of the. I mean, in any which direction I can figure out how to do it. Yeah.
It's just kind of, through. I don't know. Like there's one that's like one of the ones I did with the houses. I squeegeed away one house.
Okay.
Kind of as like a cool way to highlight it is like, I mean, for me, I've lived in like a shitload of houses, but there's like the one that's like represents childhood, and like it's like if I think back to like, I don't know, childhood or like that time is like a special house. Do you know what I mean? So I thought like, oh, if I just squeegee one away, it like highlights it, and then that kind of can in some weird way represent like the meaningful house out of all the houses.
Okay, yeah, just by contrast.
Yeah, and like how to figure out that. It's just like, I mean, all these things are just like the last few paintings, like the studies and those house pieces and the boat pieces, they're all just kind of playing around with narrative without like really having a locked in idea on the piece. So it's just kind of exploring with the idea that maybe, if I keep pursuing it and I keep building and still enjoying it, then I can create something that's way more intentional. But right now I'm just kind of figuring out potential narrative tools.
Yeah. You're just like learning the language.
Yeah, exactly. Stumbling upon things and thinking like, oh, it'd be cool. How would I figure out how to do that? Those type of things,
Are you like constantly thinking of like when you think of something like that, like even when you're not painting, are you just like always thinking about, okay, what else can I do to this thing? Or do you kind of give your mind a break from it too?
My mind just is constantly, I feel like, in that mode. Or like, for instance, like if I see something like in the real world and I'm like, oh, that would be a cool way to like use in my work to explain something. You know what I mean? Like a texture or whatever, anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
So it's always kind of like on the look for those type of things. Specifically trying to figure out narrative, or even, I mean, it doesn't have to be narrative, but my brain's always kind of thinking that way. It's good and bad, I think. But TikTok helps.
In what way?
Helps me zone out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Helps me kind of like relax my brain.
Yeah.
Let someone else do the entertaining of my mind for a bit. But yeah, for the most part, I can't shut this thing off.
Yeah.
I was like, I forget, me and MJ either were watching something or listening to something, and they started explaining ADD. And I was like, oh shit, do I have ADD? And just like, I think you do. And I'm like, God damn it.
Did you WebMD yourself?
No, I'm not going to say I have it. Someone tells me I do.
Yeah.
I also kind of think, I don't know, I was watching or listening to something where someone was talking about mental disorders, and they were saying it's only worth knowing if it's a deterrent to you. So like, if you have like ADD, but it's extremely successful for your life and it's not getting in the way of your life, then like, who cares?
Okay.
Just keep living. But it's when you're like a child, I guess, in class and you can't concentrate and you're failing out of school because of that, that I think they're probably like, all right, we got to figure out if that's the diagnosis and see if we can help it. Do you know what I mean? It's when you can't, or like if an adult can't hold down a job because of some reason or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a good point. Because we're all probably a little fucked in the head. So as long as you're doing all right, it's like a functioning drug addict in a way. It's like, as long as you can do your job and like not bother me about your habits, then I don't give a fuck.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, do all the coke or whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you. I'm not your mama. And also, leave me alone, Mom.
Yeah.
I learned it by watching you.
So that's what I've been up to.
Nice. All right.
I feel like we have a shitload of questions and stuff. So, or did you want to do the article first, or maybe we could do the Minnesota article?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that'll work out better. All right.
Okay. Bringing up the questions here. All right. Should I just go start at the top and work the way down?
Why not?
Okay. Or how many did you get on your thing? Because let's see, I have 9.
10.
Okay. We just trade off. We just trade off.
Sure.
So, first question, Danny Kidwell artist asks, does sourdough bread go bad if it's already sour?
Yeah, because it becomes blue cheese bread.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean,
that.
Yes. Bread doesn't, like, the way bread goes bad isn't by going sour. It goes moldy.
Who asked that?
Danny Kidwell.
Fuck you. Just kidding. But
That's stupid, guys. That's stupid. Use your common sense.
how dare you? You know the answer to that. That's like, you use that logic with everything sour.
This lemon's bad.
Not a bag of lemons. Those are all fucking rotten. So this one's a good one for you. It says, how has graph influenced your art practice, if at all?
For me?
I mean, maybe, because you have some your brothers did graffiti or something.
Yeah. Back in the day, I was into it. Like, I never did it myself, but I was an admirer from afar. But my brothers showed me all, like, they were into it. They had all like the graffiti mags and stuff back in the day. And then driving to like Oakland or LA, seeing all the overpasses and the fences that had all the graffiti over it. I always thought that was pretty cool to see. And I think it influenced my aesthetic taste for a while, like being into things that were more like hip-hop oriented kind of art for a while too. talking about like, I remember there was an episode we were talking about like Mere Wine, like that kind of like the album covers and stuff that he did back in the day. I think
rolling.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was like the height of art at the time.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And for me, I mean, it's influenced me a ton.
Yeah.
Like the biggest one is probably, I don't know if it's my nature or if graffiti, I mean, it's definitely a bit of my nature, but graffiti's like heightened it, which is like the ability to take risk. I think that's the biggest influence in my like career, is that kind of like, I mean, all you do when you do graffiti is just take risk, unnecessary ones a lot of times too. So, I mean, almost the whole thing is an unnecessary risk-taking exercise.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I also like, I weirdly like a lot of like textures that happen during like the natural progression of graffiti. Like the aging of graffiti or rust and graffiti and how they kind of mesh together to create something interesting to look at. But
interesting.
Like the decay of things, I think a lot of times that came from my like love of the environment that graffiti kind of existed in, which were always like, you know, not the sparkliest, shiniest bits of the cities. And all that I think came from my love for graffiti, and then finding the places where they were able to kind of exist. And then obviously like the mark making, a lot of my influence comes from graffiti, just of like tags. It's all about like very intentional mark making to do what you're trying to do. Like the best versions of that are like the simplest most creative versions of mark making. I mean, in general, I think there's some really amazing mark makers in that world.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and it definitely affects that love for that affects my art as well, because I love when people do things that are like simple, but like when they lay it in, you're like, whoa, that had so much intention and effect. You know, rather than like, I mean, I love when people render well, but it's not as like magical to me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's interesting to me, like graffiti being like starting off with symbols that everybody knows, like the alphabet basically is your starting point, and then creating a signature from it, but like all the different ways that you can like fuck with that, like it's a whole subculture dedicated to just like manipulating the symbols of like English language. So yeah, in that way, I guess it kind of influenced me. It probably helped like find for me, like discover a love of like pattern and different like graphic symbols and things like that for myself personally. So in that way, it probably influenced me as well.
Yeah.
All right. Do you make Ariana Camps says, do you make 5-year plans or just go with the flow?
A bit of both. I have like goals.
Yeah.
I set, and sometimes those goals are attached to my age, you know?
Okay.
Oh, I hope at this age I'm a full-time artist or whatever, you know? Like, but I'm not like hardcore set on those things. It's almost like a goal. If I hit it, it's fine. If not, then I'll kick it down the road a bit. But yeah, I don't really have... yeah, I mean, I have like 5-year goals, 5-week goals, today's goals. You know, like,
right.
I set a lot of goals for myself, and then at the same time, like a buddy hitting me up and saying you want to get drunk, we'll easily kick that today's goals down to the next day. You know?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, and you know, 2020 can teach anyone that a year can get tossed on its fucking head. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, goals are great and setting plans are great, but like I don't really think sticking to them to the point where you feel like you're gonna explode if you don't succeed. You know, like that type of. It's like the people that like freak out when they get a A- or some shit. It's like, relax. At the end of the day, it doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it matters if you don't hit your goals. You know, I mean, make sure to hit your vision, make your vision boards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or do whatever you want. But like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I mean,
Yeah.
who cares at the end of the day? Life is funner when it's a little off.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm terrible at making like long-term plans like that.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'm the most of my goals ever stretched to is like the end of the year. And even that's like very loose and like, yeah, I never really like follow through with them either. Yeah. So, me trying to make a 5-year plan, like I wouldn't even know like where to start, like how to even break that down. Because like most of the time I don't even really know where I'm going as far as all that goes. Like I have some idea of like where I would like to be, but like
Right.
I don't really like try and make steps toward it like in a concrete way. Like I don't know, it's probably something I should really be working on more. But
Whatever.
yeah. But I don't know. It just, I think partly like knowing where I'm going gets me less interested in it. Like in a way, I kind of like not knowing where I'm going. It just, I like to be surprised a little bit in a way in that regard. But I don't know. I don't know if that's really working out that great for me at the moment. But yeah, it's like what you said with 2020, just like put everybody's plans completely on their head.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like 5-year goals. Like I don't even know how long this whole way of living that we're going through right now is going to go. I mean, probably not 5 years, but still it kind of messes things up a bit. But when it comes to thinking 5 years ahead, I don't really have a way to wrap my head around that, really.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's my turn now.
Is it? Yeah.
Are we good on that one? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just go with the flow for the most part.
Sergio goes with the flow. I feel like if anyone had to guess who goes with the flow and who has the 5-year plan, most people would guess he was the.
Yeah.
Do you decide before you start or during process about colors and such? How did you structure that sentence so badly? Like they say, do you decide before start or during process? And then in parentheses about colors and such.
Oh, really?
Wait, parentheses are like, oh no, not parentheses.
Quotes? Or?
Oh no, parentheses. The one.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
I always get those two mixed up in my brain. Yeah. About colors and such. I mean, I don't know. We've talked about this before. You're much more methodical about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are not methodical, pre-planned before you get to the panel.
Right. Yeah.
And I just kind of have ideas in my head that are like there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm working through them. So for the most part, I know like roughly the palette I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I have all these ideas and narrative like points I want to hit on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's always slight adjustments during the thing.
Yeah.
If something doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Do you ever do any sort of color pre-planning, like a color study or anything like that?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Maybe I should. I don't fucking know. Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe in 5 years I'll be like, oh, all I do is pre-plan. You know,
Yeah.
like, the thing is murals. I mean, that's the only thing that I have. And
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy everything being planned out before we get to the wall, but whatever, you know. I mean, but I don't think it's necessary in my studio work for now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll change my mind, but I don't mind my process now as far as like figuring out colors. And I feel like I have like an idea of what things will look like, and I have an idea of what colors work well together, and you know, at least for the most part. And I'm always learning and tinkering, so for me I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends for me on what I'm doing. Lately, like I've been doing the little thumbnails for gouache in gouache for landscape paintings, and that's helped a lot in terms of figuring out, is this painting actually gonna work on canvas, having some sort of idea of what it's gonna translate to without investing a lot into the oil painting is kind of nice. So it helps for me in that way. But yeah, there's times where and that's like really the main reason I do it, but yeah, there's times where I create the reference in Photoshop, whatever, if I'm stitching together and kind of collaging a lot of things together. I don't want to get like into the oil paint stage halfway through and realize, this isn't really working at all. I should have seen this coming. And doing some sort of little color study beforehand helps me avoid any sort of disaster like that. And you know, it doesn't like guarantee that the painting is going to be good just because I did a color study before, but at least it helps me figure out some of the problems beforehand. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think there's a negative to it.
Yeah, it's like I never regret doing any sort of pre-planning. I just don't. My mind doesn't, like, I enjoy kind of that too. I enjoy like figuring it out while I'm painting. Where like I think for MJ, like it would be like that would be a great like thing. She does it sometimes too, where she like will do little color studies in her sketchbook. And I always think like that would be a great thing for her, because a lot of times she's trying to figure it out on the spot, and she has no like. She's kind of like wandering in a way through the painting rather than having some sort of direction. Yeah. So I think it's, you know, like for her, it's probably better at least if she puts some thought into it previous. And that's just based on who you are as an artist. Like, if that, for me, I enjoy those things, and I am like thinking about them while I'm painting, like constantly. So by the time I get to certain points, I've already worked out at least a couple of the steps I want to take to try to tackle ideas. Okay. Yeah. They're just not, I just haven't visually seen them, but, for the most part, it's like in my head, it makes sense. You know, in my, I don't know, brain vision, it makes sense. You know? I can see the painting and it seems right. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess for people who work a certain way, pre-planning is almost a requirement, whereas there's a lot of artists who, it's interesting, a lot of artists who I feel like are figuring things out on the canvas are the ones that I'm most excited to see what they're up to. But I don't know how much like actual pre-planning they're not showing. Right. Yeah, and it's weird, like the idea of pre-planning, because it's like I might, like if like for me, it's like I just pre-plan differently. Pre-plan in my brain and just have those ideas floating around. And there's some writing I do sometimes, or like I'll write on the canvas or panel just to remember some things, like the direction of like darker tones to lighter or whatever. You know, like I'll write that stuff down just so like it's stuck in my head. But for the most part, they're in my head anyways. It's just I don't want to forget certain like key elements while I'm like in the hubbub of things. Yeah. Especially if things are reactionary. Like if I'm doing a process where it's like a really, like if I'm doing a wash, let's say, like or like a glaze or whatever, I feel like that process is sometimes can be extremely fast. And if I'm doing that and I need to get things correct,
I really want to make sure that I'm not reacting too much. Like I've planned my reaction a bit.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I think so. Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like really thin paint and it's like going everywhere, and it's like I have to be ready for what I'm doing. I can't.
So your process is a little bit more pre-planned than the actual
once I get to like
image.
a certain step, I'm like, all right, let's make sure we nail this part.
Okay.
That's much more like rapid and reactionary. But yeah, that's like. But there's a little bit of lack of control there, so you want to like have as much control as you can because there's lack of control. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Where something like where I can mess around and like scrape away or fix things or whatever, that's when it's like, all right, well, like I'll just keep working on it until I get it right. Do you know what I mean? And that things, it's like you can explore more, not really plan as hard. More like couple colors that you know you want to work around or like build upon or whatever. But
Yeah, I was just thinking lately for me, I've been like super process oriented because I'm like trying to figure out how to teach it. So I've been like hyper focused more on like my own process, just to think like, okay, these steps that I'm trying to teach, are they actually like the most effective way to do this? Or like if I follow my own method, what do I end up with?
Right.
And if it's good or bad or not. And yeah, luckily it actually has been helping me like spend less, I guess, mental energy on things, but it's a double-edged sword because it also like kind of locks me into a specific way of painting all the time, which is like doesn't necessarily give you a lot of freedom to explore a lot, but at the same time it's kind of like, you know, doing your reps.
is this specifically for the class, or are you saying like in all of your work you find this?
Well, right now specifically for the courses, but I've been a little bit applying it on like the studio landscapes that I've been painting, but those are a little less strict to any sort of specific process because I have a different idea of what I want the paintings to look like in the end. Whereas with like a painting that I'm doing from life, it's more about just like following the steps and seeing where I end up.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. That's it. Also, you said the effectiveness to like make sure that the effectiveness of it is worth it. I think that's what you said.
I think so.
I was gonna ask you, but you were on a roll, so I didn't want to interrupt. But
the effectiveness of like the painting or like the
and when you say effectiveness, you mean the effectiveness to paint what is like to represent what you're painting, right?
Right. Yeah. And like do it in a way that looks like that looks the best they can for following such a process.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it doesn't give you a lot of freedom to make a lot of like happy accidents, for example, but the trade-off is that like you end up with a more consistent result.
Right. Yeah. That's especially for like if someone's going to take a course, that's what you want.
Yeah.
And they can find the course where? I'm just kidding.
Themainwhip.com, guys.
Is it your turn?
Yep. Okay. Bloom Report Macro asks, do birds have fun?
Do birds have fun?
Yeah.
That's all they want. Birds just want to have fun. I suppose so. Some.
I guess, yeah, if they're flying around, are they having fun while flying?
Good question. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, first of all, murmurations. I'm obsessed with them.
Are you?
Yeah. They're like, I've loved them forever.
Really?
I mean, and I've made bodies of work called murmurations.
Damn. This is exclusive info.
Another waiting to dry exclusive.
But murmurations, for anyone that doesn't know, is like the giant groups of birds that all fly in weird directions together.
Yeah.
And me and MJ were just having this conversation where we're like, why do they do that? And then I was like, I don't know. Maybe they're just playing. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's not like, it doesn't seem like a school of fish. I mean, it does, but it doesn't seem like a school of fish. Seems like the purpose of it is to like, have safety in numbers and ways.
Yeah.
But like for some reason, like the murmurations of birds seem like they're just kind of doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, there might be a safety reason in there too, but I don't know.
because sometimes it just looks like they're just like hanging out doing it, like around, because they're like hanging out on a telephone pole, and all of a sudden they're like flying around. I don't know. Maybe there's a vulture. I didn't know this or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not a vulture, but a hawk or something. I don't know. But for the most part, it seems like they're just kind of doing it. So maybe that's them having fun.
Yeah.
Penguins.
Yeah.
Have you seen penguin slide? Oh, that crow. Have you seen that?
Which one?
There's like a crow that I think it like surfs down snow on like a piece of cardboard or some shit like that.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
That bird's definitely fun. Because it keeps doing it. It goes back up and then comes back down. So yes.
Birds do have fun.
Yes.
We figured it out, guys.
At least some.
Speaking of penguins, I think birds might actually have fun when they're waddling or walking around, because otherwise, why would they do that?
That's true.
If you can fly, why would you ever walk unless you're having fun while walking around?
Yeah. Goddamn people. What mixture do you use for your oil washes? I don't know, it depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use Galkid. Like, I just thin it down until it looks thin enough, depending on whatever I'm using. Obviously, some paints are more transparent than others.
Right.
So it's less necessary. And then other times, I'm trying to like thin down white. Do like a weird glaze wash thingy. So obviously white's pretty opaque, so it takes
the most opaque.
It takes some finessing.
It's a finesse man.
That guy might be my favorite person.
It's a finesse thing.
But yeah. Also, I use mineral spirits sometimes. I don't want to hear people talking about how dangerous that might be as far as like aging.
Oh, I mean, most people use mineral spirits in the beginning stages, and that's fine.
Yeah, I've heard people say that's bad, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could find the argument against
the paint company. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you need it to ground to the camera.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever.
They also say not to use acrylic as an underpainting layer either, but I mean, people do it all the time.
Yeah. What does Jesus say? Let's turn to book Isaiah chapter 2, verse 8. It says, thou shalt washeth thy clothes in the blood of thy enemy.
What a weird quote.
All right.
But yeah, I pretty much, in the beginning stages, I'll use either just straight up mineral spirits or what's it called, Gamsol, which is basically a mineral spirit.
Yeah.
And I'll put in a little bit of alkyd into the wash as well, just for those purposes, because alkyd you can actually thin down pretty like to a pretty thin layer, and it'll still hold up because it's like a specific type of polymer that like holds up better.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
you're doing the right
And
thing.
it's based on your intention too.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if this person's talking about glazes or washes. I don't know what they're referring to. They might. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But that's another good point. Like if you're after specific effect or look to your painting.
Yeah.
And it's, doesn't always necessarily follow best practices of archivalness. Err on the side of make it good, like what you want
Yes.
this thing to look like.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll be dead by the time people complain. Who gives a
Yeah,
fuck?
that's true. Yeah, and there's like what's his name? There's also what's his fuckface?
You're
Pollock.
just calling people names now. That fucking idiot, and then what's that other stupid ass? It's a fucking.
But yeah, they're spending millions of dollars trying to keep his enamel paintings together.
Yeah. Fucking idiots. Waste the time.
Yeah.
Also, if they're still talking about you after you're dead because your shit's falling apart, yeah, you did probably good anyways.
Yeah.
Then you're like, throwing caution to the wind paid off. Because
Yeah,
they
exactly.
care about you still for some weird reason.
Right. Well, yeah, I was thinking of Nikolai Fetchin, who's a painter I do like. He purposely sucked out a lot of oil from his paintings to get a different, like, dry brushy effect. So some of his stuff is like flaking off too. But it's so good that people want to preserve that shit.
Yeah.
So is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Joyle Studio asks, what's a subject matter you dislike painting?
Things I don't paint.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. What? Do you have an answer to that? The thing.
I don't know. I'll paint balls if you light them right.
Yeah, I don't like painting.
I used to not be like that into painting like fruit and stuff, but here I am painting food all the time now.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's hard to say. Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I dislike painting other than like something with like bad lighting. It's more like stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, maybe something that's like dark, but also matte finish. So it's just like ends up being like a shape
yeah,
more than anything.
yeah.
Uh,
I guess certain situations I dislike painting more than actual like subjects.
yeah. What? Let me think. Sports, maybe. But even then, I feel like if I started painting like old school baseball players, I'd be pretty stoked. Or boxers, or like
Oh yeah.
I don't know, track and field might be cool to paint. Like someone running their ass off
Yeah.
might be a cool painting. Like I don't know. I'm open to anything really. I just haven't gotten
TikTok
there yet.
celebrities.
Yeah, maybe influencers. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
There was one time we went when we were in LA. We were photographing a bunch of people, and MJ hired this model to photograph for us. And when she got there, she was like cool and nice and everything. But MJ was like geeking out on her hard.
Oh really?
And I was like, what is the deal? And MJ's just like, she was like, she's this YouTuber I follow who's huge. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't like, but it's one of those things where
How
like,
many subscribers we talking here?
I think pretty high. I don't know.
Like over 1 million?
Maybe. I don't know. You might have to ask MJ.
Okay.
But I never painted her, not because of that. I just didn't get any good images.
Okay.
That I wanted to paint, and so that was that. But I think MJ's painted her once. Yeah, it's I don't know.
Did it result in anything for her? Like as far as like because she chose her as a subject, did people like recognize and be like, oh, like there's something extra to it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It hardly ever works out that way. I've found.
There's also something about like a lot of influencers are like commercially like very attractive human beings. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's like not the most probably interesting person to paint in general. If that makes
Yeah,
any
I see
sense.
what you mean.
It's like Peyton Ryan or not Ryan Gosling. Who's the guy that does American Idol host? Seacrest. It's like being Ryan Seacrest. It's like no one's saying he's an ugly man. It's just there's something about it that's just not interesting. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I found with this person. She was like a very pretty lady, but it was like there was never I don't know, anything interesting that happened in the pictures.
Yeah. Probably not somebody used to posing for anyone else, really.
Or being like a little vulnerable or something. It's like they're too conscious of how they're looking in.
Right. Because that's like everything that they're about.
Right. Or like someone that's like we both use that lady Diana. I don't know.
Diana.
Okay. And but she's like the very opposite. Like she's very vulnerable or whatever. Like she doesn't care how she looks in the picture as much as trying to get like a really good end result.
Right.
In that case, it's like great for a painter, you know. So yeah. I don't even know how we got on this.
Just
subject matter we don't like.
Yeah. Just non-interesting people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a still life person, but I'm not against it. I mean,
Right.
If
I mean, you're in some ways you're doing still life right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, never say never.
Yeah. I'm not a big like landscape painter, but it's
Right.
like, maybe in the future. I don't know. I'm not against it.
Right.
I just haven't figured out a way that I would be stoked on doing it.
Right.
Or something that I would be wanting, that I want to paint in that huge realm of painting. Although there's a faucet freeze I've been wanting to paint.
Oh yeah.
For my house. But yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. That's so no.
Yeah.
There's no subject matter or
Yeah. What's the subject matter? Just like painting? Very few, I guess.
yeah. Yeah.
All right.
What else we got? Oh, my turn.
Yeah.
What is most fun in your process?
In my process, dang, let me think about that. Most fun in my process is probably just when you're into the actual painting and in your just making it all come together. Like when you're in that zone of like when you're putting the paint down and it's actually like becoming the thing you want it to be. Like it's so I guess like the stage after like the underpainting and blocking, the part that you're actually really making the paint like describe what you're trying to paint. That's probably my favorite part
Yeah.
of the process for me.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. Yeah. I mean, a little different for me, I think, in like for me, it's more like the moments that I'm not sure if they're going to work and then seeing those come to life. That's like when I'm like really excited. That's what makes me the most happy and like excited about what I'm doing. Are those like those unsure moments working out the way I was hoping they would.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I think you're talking specifically about like representational work.
Yeah, for the most part, I would say that. But at the same time, when I'm doing something that I'm taking a little bit of a risk on, I totally understand that as well.
Yeah, I think those have like the biggest payoffs when they work well. To me, that's when I get the most excited because I'm like, ooh, somehow that worked out. And that applies to like representational as well as like other stuff that I do, but it's all kind of like the same of like, I don't know if like there's like a tad bit of like, I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. And then when it does, that's it. Like that little part of the process.
Is the inverse true for you? Like if you take that risk and it doesn't pay off, is that like your least favorite thing or not?
No. I think my least favorite thing is when I'm bored.
Yeah.
Like the boring stuff. Like
I would say that's true for me too.
Where you have like a shitload of skin tone. It's kind of boring and not like the most interesting lighting, and you're like, cool, let's do this shit.
Yeah.
Or things like that. Like things that are just just kind of a bit, I already know I can do it.
Yeah.
They're a bit boring, it's like I don't know, there's nothing there's no big payoff either. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like I enjoy highlights. I know I can do them, but I still enjoy them because it's such little work for such big payoff.
Yeah, that's true.
But like big chunks of effort that go into very little payoff, but are necessary for the process.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's like if I'm painting like, I don't know, a rose bush, and I'm painting like the leaves and all that shit. Like I know how to paint this, but so in order for this to work as a painting, I have to do all the little, all the grunt work, basically.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, when something doesn't work, that's probably pretty close to the top as far as like excitement and liking of the process, because it's one of those things of like, oh, I have no idea how to do like that. Just makes my brain work harder at trying to figure out what went wrong and like how I could like resolve the issue.
Yeah, that's totally true.
So I don't mind that part at all in the process. Like the failure of something I was hoping would work. Just go back to the drawing board and literally.
Yeah. I think you probably have a higher tolerance for that than I do, though. Because there's been like paintings I've definitely abandoned because of like things just not working out the way I want them to, no matter how hard I try to like figure out that problem.
Yeah.
I think you probably wouldn't give up as quick as I might.
Yeah, probably not. I feel like most of my paintings, I try to figure it out.
Yeah, you kind of set up your process to like that built into it, right?
What's that?
Like things that you're gonna have to figure out on the fly. Yeah.
Should we turn Sergio? Or
Yeah,
are we still talking?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't sure if you were done with that.
I got nothing now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
I wasn't sure. Sorry. Plague of Crows asks, Sergio, how do you think the restaurant industry will handle the rainy season without indoor seating?
Yeah, how will the restaurant?
This is a question for a bit saucy podcast, guys. Calling that out there.
By the way, I'm starting a podcast with MJ called A Bit Spicy,
Yeah.
where me and her we review restaurants and for free food.
Yeah.
And if you give us free food, we'll rate it high.
Yeah.
Unless it sucks, but if it sucks, it has to be large quantities of food, and then we'll rate it high.
Yeah.
Just for anyone out there who needs a restaurant review.
To answer this question, I think they'll probably just do more takeout. I mean, what else are they going to do?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll adapt.
Yeah. Like when there's when it's a rainy season without this, you just go indoors. Without the indoors, your only other option is to offer more takeout. So I think that's pretty much all they can do, right?
You know, I just thought of what happens to what are those fucking restaurants called? Like the ones where the guys cook in front of you.
Oh,
Something grills. Or
like
some
Benihana type shit?
Benihana's, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to Benihana's?
Yeah. I think they're probably closed for that. I mean, they might be doing takeout, but who wants that?
What if your fucking dream in life was to become a Benihana chef? And the day you start, all of a sudden, pandemic hits.
Yeah. Better adjust that 5-year plan then.
Fuck, seriously. That is horrible.
Yeah.
God damn it, I just lost my fucking... Yeah. So you think that they're just... Yeah, a lot of takeout. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't see what else they can do, really.
They're going to fucking build a bunch of tents, which are just indoor, but everyone's going to wink at each other.
Yeah.
The old winkety eye, like, well, with heaters and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to do, too. They're going to do a bunch of those big-ass white wedding tent things that you can eat under.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all going to be like, we're all outdoors still, right?
Yeah. That shit, doesn't make that much sense. Like, I guess like just because you're sitting at a table, you could take your mask off, but you're still around people.
I know. We just there's a Mexican restaurant down the street, like by the Rite Aid. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have outdoor seating. But everyone, like I saw, like there were strangers, like where their back was like a foot away from each other. I was like, okay, and they're like their outdoor seating is like roofed and like kind of enclosed pretty well. So you're like, okay, what's the difference between that and people having their window open?
Yeah, exactly.
But whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna go and like fight them or anything. Everyone's there as an adult too. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
I'm just gonna be like, I'm just be judgmental from the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, fuck.
Like a true adult.
Like a true adult. Judge
I mean,
and keep moving.
if that's too close for comfort, don't eat that.
Yeah, I can't fucking stop people. At the end of the day, we failed. America, we failed at this shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't come to terms with that, we all failed. I mean,
Record, still spiking. So yeah.
I
We
remember.
are frightened of Cornova.
I remember like early on. There's this YouTuber named Thunderfoot I like watching.
Okay.
He's a scientist. Like he's like a PhD in fucking some kind of science, but like a legit scientist. But he broke down early on in the coronavirus thing. He broke down like how many people had to kind of follow these rules strictly in order for us to not have it spread.
Okay.
And I remember after hearing that being like, we're gonna fail. Like it's like we're not gonna be able to do this.
Right.
We already politicized it like week one, so it's like, all right, we're gonna fail. Like this isn't gonna go down well.
Yeah.
And boy, did it not.
So it's funny. At the studio right now, because if people don't know, I'm in a building with a bunch of different studios, and there's a sign that keeps going up and keeps getting taken down, like telling people to wear masks while they're in like the halls and common area. And we're wondering if there's like an anti-masker in the building, or if because there's a typo, and if they're just like really annoyed by this typo and they keep taking it down.
What you guys got to do is you've got to do something where it leaves its mark on the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like those tags at shopping centers.
Yeah. Or like make it like
malls.
wet paint. So then you go and look around for like the handles that have paint on it.
Yeah.
And then you cut that motherfucker.
Yeah, just put white paint on the floor next to the thing, so when they step on it.
But what
it
if you
leaves
just
a
wanted to
footprint.
read it?
Yeah, oh, that's true.
It's got to be the person that touches it,
I see, yeah.
touches the sign. Or make it like so it shocks the person when you hear a scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you run out and look at who it is.
Yeah.
Or you
Just
know,
put a little security cam up.
yeah, yeah. Or like a laser that like if they touch it, it cuts their arm off.
Yeah, that's an appropriate response to it.
Or like a guy hiding in a bush that when they touch it, he comes out and kills them.
Yeah, also a valid response.
Or like a pack of dogs that like once that sign gets touched, it opens the gates and these dogs come out and eats them alive.
Well, there are some dogs that are constantly barking at anybody who passes by. So yeah. The tools are there. You just need the brain power.
Or you hire an assassin to see who takes it, then follow that guy home and murder him and his entire family.
These are all wonderful ideas.
Whoa, there's a lot of brain power in this room.
Or I'm just kidding. Sorry, guys.
Is it my turn? Yeah, I think so. Or what was the last one? Oh, that was
Which one?
was that still responding to the restaurant question?
Yeah. What I don't know how we got on that.
Okay, so yeah, I guess it's your turn. Yeah.
Is there reasoning to what seems like a solely in that you solely using women as subjects in your work? I'm assuming this is mainly towards me because you paint more
Burgers.
than someone. You paint burgers. I mean, I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it again. I just like a detachment to my work, and I used to paint mainly men or draw mainly men when I was younger.
Okay.
And it seemed to build upon like more kind of, I don't know about depressing, but more like sadder, melancholy, kind of teenage angsty sadness type stuff. And then I decided to like learn how to draw women because I used to have issues doing that. And first it was there was like something about like the specifically like the jawline area that was always like, you know, an issue with making them look a little more masculine.
Sure.
So I just started painting. I decided like in one sketchbook that I was going to just paint or draw women for the whole sketchbook to teach myself that. And then I was like, oh, I really like this. And like the subject matter seemed way more like positive or way less kind of entrenched in my own teenage emotions.
Okay.
And from there I was kind of hooked. And yeah, let me explore like narratives that weren't so attached to me. And I found that I really enjoyed that a lot. And so that's why I do it. And then people will say like, oh, well, why do you only paint pretty women? And it's like, I don't fucking know. Because it's hard to find, to be honest, like, first of all, I'm just bringing up a bunch of like questions that seem to be in this whole like, you know, the female gaze topic and all.
Sure.
Which is just, I mean, I'm always constantly looking for women to tackle narratives. And I think certain features of people have built-in narratives attached to them. And me trying to figure out what narratives I want to tackle and then trying to find the correct person for that is very difficult. And someone that like will be able to accomplish that goal, it becomes harder and harder and harder. Because it's hard to find someone that fits what you want, because a lot of people just want to look pretty in front of a camera, whether you're like a skinny person or a big person or whatever, or a colored person or not colored person. They all kind of want to like, a lot of the people that are like models are not, their goal is to look good in front of the picture or in front of the camera, and trying to find someone that's like more vulnerable is hard in general.
Yeah.
So like your pool closes down to like people that can accomplish these things. And then yeah, I mean, I know there's a model you used that from like New York or some shit, I forget where she was from, like a bigger girl. And it's like, oh, I would love to work with her, you know, but like I don't know her, and I'm assuming her schedule's packed. So it's like this thing of like trying to find the small talent that exists that can accomplish my goals is actually really hard.
Interesting.
That isn't under the like idea of model, because I mean, in general, most of them are going to be skinnier people pursue a career or an avenue to get money in the modeling realm.
Yeah, I guess so. Although, yeah, it does seem like that whole genre of modeling has kind of blown up over the past probably 5 to 10 years. So,
what's that?
Oh, just like bigger models.
Yeah. Yeah, but even then, they're pursuing modeling to look pretty in front of a camera.
Oh, right.
So having them like crouch down and not be the most appealing for a bigger person, it's hard to find someone that's willing to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? To be like, I don't give a fuck if my body has rolls associated to this pose.
Yeah.
It's all about getting the best image. So when people are like, paint bigger girls, or like paint like why don't you paint more colored people? It's like, I live in Santa Rosa. It kind of sucks. Like,
yeah.
Like we got slim pickings as far as like people that we can hire to like pose for paintings locally. And for some fucking reason, models that live in San Francisco and Oakland don't have fucking cars.
Yeah, that's true.
They just stay in their goddamn cities and Uber around. And It's like, oh, can you come to Santa Rosa? And they're like, no. And you're like, fuck. Whose space can we use in San Francisco or Oakland to photograph these shoots?
Right.
And I'm less and less inclined to do that because I don't like figuring out the situation at someone else's spot. I feel much more comfortable shooting in my living room where I understand the lighting situations and I can tweak that for the best result for my painting rather than being comfortable in someone else's house.
Right. Totally.
To try to accomplish my goals. So, yeah, I feel like I'm getting more and more of these questions recently. Oh, God. I'm going to have to it's like it used to be the pencil and then the pencil question. And then now everyone, for like the last 2 years, I feel like everyone's been asking, what do you use reference? And I feel like this is going to be like the next common question. This person also said, what pencil do you use as a joke? So fuck you. But yeah, that's why I use, I'm using narrative as my, I'm highly narrative as an artist. I think the human beings use as narrative to me is the most useful way to accomplish this goal in something very tricky as one painting. To tackle narrative. Yeah, using the human form is one of the best ways to achieve this goal. Not saying it's the only way, but to me it's by far the quickest way for us as artists to accomplish doing that. And then trying to figure out, there's narratives I want to use that are male centric, but to be honest, I don't even know how to fucking find the man that's in my head that I want to paint, which is like
interesting.
I want a hard farmer's tan in it. For a fact, I've seen a guy at a river and I was like, fuck, I wish I had a camera right now and I wish I had the balls to walk up to this fucking guy and be like, can I photograph you in the river with the shirt off?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's like for the most part, I have no fucking clue how to find this human being in my mind that I want to tackle narratives with.
That's true. Yeah, it almost have to be like you'd have to be down in LA where you can find actors of that type of sort.
But, yeah. It's I don't fucking know, to be honest. So yeah, but. Hopefully, there's definitely some male-centric narratives I want to tackle, but, it seems like a lot of them are melancholy for the idea I want to tackle with the male figure that I feel the most drawn to is the hardened man turned soft.
Interesting.
Through age, which I've noticed with a lot of really hard men. Age softens them
for sure.
That's a narrative I think is super interesting and I really want to tackle. But I want to make sure I do it right. It's been an idea I've been thinking about for at least 2 years now. I just don't know how to fucking accomplish it, to be honest. But when I get that opportunity, you guys are going to see some fucking man paintings. But I just don't have it yet.
Those people could all shut up.
But yeah, I don't know.
What do you think, what makes a concept female centric to you? What about the subject makes you think a female needs this?
It's not that. I think it's mainly based on the viewer more than the I think there are storylines that are more you can connect with easier using a female figure, and I think most of those are that. I think for the most part, I think a lot of narratives that are men related are going to be negative, or going to be in a negative lighting, or in a not a negative, but it's just a darker narrative, or it's easier to talk about the I don't know, the old man, right? To paint an old man, there's something built into that narrative that people can connect with. Whether that's a grumpy old man or a happy old man. For some weird reason, us as human beings, when we see that, we immediately can attach experiences from ourselves and be more open to viewing that painting without judgment or something. In my opinion, I might be wrong about this, and everything can be done well, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's me trying to figure out a narrative that I think is interesting, where like a female, I think for the most part, most people love their moms, right? Especially like, and love their sisters and love the females in their life,
Sure.
their wives or whatever, girlfriends. So there's like, and women can see themselves in the work. Where I feel like if I look at a man's picture, I don't immediately associate anything in me with that.
Okay.
Does that make any sense? And a lot of
think
people
so.
have daddy issues, me included. A lot of people have, negative experiences with men. And I feel like that taints the water of just absorbing the painting and trying to figure out the narrative without having a negative bias attached to it.
I see. Interesting. Yeah.
Where I think if you view a female in a painting, there's much more, I feel like there's less guards up as a human being viewing that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just thinking things that have influenced me over the years, like Miyazaki movies, for example. They almost always have like a female protagonist, and they usually come from like a place of I don't know, like goodness and purity or something like that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like that's all I think like
Of women or
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
So but it's like a good like for certain, I guess, subject or concept you want to tackle, there's already a built-in kind of almost like a blank slate in a way.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas,
What it is.
right. If a male character, unless it's like a small boy, usually you kind of go into it having like these preconceptions of what this person's this character's life or viewpoints might be.
Right.
So that might like get in the way of
A little
saying
boy
things.
or old man.
Yeah.
I mean, the old man isn't a blank slate, but it's
Right.
like it's a more kind of I think it's based like the narrative I want to tackle, for instance, of the hearted man softened. There's something about an old man that is relatable in a positive way so that you can just kind of accept it, I think. Do you mean, even though there is built-in narrative to you being old, it's like you can tackle some things without having people, I don't know. It's a kind of like for instance, I paint this model named Whitney, right? And she's a very striking black lady, and people like the painting because she's black.
Yeah.
Right? It's not necessarily based on my narrative at all. So my voice disappears in that, which is fine. I'm not like trying to compete with her strikingness.
Yeah.
But that's why I think a lot of people like it. I mean, the feedback says so, right? And so if I'm a narrative artist and I'm trying to focus on saying something and something pulls attention away from that, that's going to deter me from using that thing. It's not necessarily going to stop me, but it's trying to figure out how to complete those things correctly so that I can either utilize the built-in narrative of the person's how they are perceived, or just stay away from them if it detracts or distracts from the intention of the piece.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, that's why I do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, people can do whatever they want at the end of the day.
Yeah. People are going to have whatever opinions they want no matter what anyway, too. So can't base how you choose your subject matter just on that.
Yeah.
All right. Mario J. Dana asks, do you have favorite easy foods to make while painting? I hate having to stop to cook.
Yeah. I like to make the taco truck make me.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, I usually cook, but yeah, I mean, for sure, some days when I'm busy or slammed, it ends up being to-go food or. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I cook for the most part, though. And no, I mean, I don't like easy meals. My love for creating goes into the kitchen as well, where I hate being bored while cooking.
Okay.
Like, for instance, our dog Mello, right? He eats sweet potato and chicken every day.
Yeah.
And me and MJ, we have this rule that whoever cooks doesn't have to make Mello's food.
Oh, okay.
And so
That
I
makes sense.
will, this chore that takes, 5 minutes to reheat the food we've already cooked for him. I will spend 3 hours cooking just to not feed Mello.
Oh, wow.
Because it's not interesting. It's super boring. So I would rather take the hard, time-consuming job just to not do the boring thing.
Wow, you really hate boring.
Really hate boring. So I don't know. I enjoy cooking though. So that's. I don't know. Do you have an answer for that? Ramen, I would say.
Yeah, probably. Ramen or a sandwich, usually easy things to make. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. What I will normally do is just, make enough dinner that it lasts me a while. And then, the next time I have to eat something, I'll just reheat whatever's around. And then, just spend the time to make the effort to make something I like to make and taste good, and make enough of it that lasts me a while, so I don't have to spend too much more time after that.
Yeah.
So
But if you hate cooking, then I don't know. Was it a guy or girl?
guy.
Okay, well then find a significant other that likes cooking.
Right.
And this isn't no disto. I didn't know if it was a girl. I'd be like, go find yourself because MJ doesn't cook, and she gets to eat the food I cook.
Okay.
So she scored in that way.
Right.
And if you don't enjoy cooking, try to find a partner with that one skill.
Yeah.
And nothing else. Just ask people, can you cook? And then when they say yes, say, will you marry me?
Yeah.
And then live happily ever after.
If you're non-binary, find a Zimzer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're gay, this guy might be gay. Find another dude that likes cooking.
Right.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, it's it's the easy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Ramen or sandwich or whatever.
Yeah, ramen I feel like is a good choice because
It's easy enough, and you could throw in all sorts of different things into the pot.
You know what else is a good choice is braised meats.
Okay.
It might sound weird, but it takes 3 hours to braise meat or whatever, 4 hours. So you just the prep time isn't that long. You prep it, you stick it in the oven, in a Dutch oven or some shit, and then you just walk away and you have 3 to 4 hours where you're just painting. Then you come back and if you want to eat it with rice or some shit, put your rice in a rice cooker, leave that bitch is done in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever long it takes. It's super easy, but it seems complicated, but it ends up not being that much work.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, just I got into my Instant Pot for a while, and that it's depending on what you make, it's pretty minimal setup, and you can make a lot with it.
Yeah. Also, don't use an Instant Pot. Use a Dutch oven. Fuck Instant Pots. Instant Pot's like a crock pot.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't. It's worth a Dutch oven. Trust me. Trust me. No diss to Sergio's Instant Pot part.
Yeah. Well, this guy hates to stop paying to cook, so I don't know. I don't know how much he's
the same time. It's just you use an oven and a Dutch oven, but the end result's so much better.
Is it? Yeah.
So much better. And you can get one at just go to they have a lot of like Dutch ovens at like estate sales and shit like that.
Oh,
So you get one for cheap.
like a cast iron one or something. Yeah.
You're gonna want a cast iron one for sure. But yeah, or ceramic, but just get cast iron.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's like braised meats are good if you're a meat eater.
I see.
There's an option because then usually you make large portions of that too, and
Right.
you can make like, I don't know, some kind of like braised meat sandwich for like the next 4 days or whatever.
Oh, that sounds hella good.
It is hella good. And then if you make a coleslaw, which is really easily too, you can make like a spicy coleslaw and just throw that bitch in there, and you have like a delicious sandwich.
Sandwich.
Keep this sauce hot.
Yeah, there you go.
Another waiting to dry exclusive.
Recipes.
All right. Tips on. Is it my turn or your turn?
Your turn.
Oh wait, I skipped one. Why did you start getting serious about art? I don't know. Forever.
Yeah. Serious as in like decide to make it a profession?
Yeah, that's
I would say in high school probably.
I think there's like
But-
stages to the shit. It's like when you're
Yeah.
like when I was in middle school, it was like I was the art kid, you know, and then you're in high school, and then it's like I think the big jump is in high school when you come back from summer and all your friends that were art friends didn't do shit during summer, and you were like, I filled the whole sketchbook.
Yeah.
Like all I did was draw. Like, what the fuck? You didn't do anything. Like you kind of suck now. Like,
Yeah.
I'm way better than you. I didn't really think that way, but it was like, but you could see like you jumped ahead. At least for me, I don't know if you did that during the summertime, but like. I remember coming back from summer and realizing that like all the other kids that drew didn't do that, and I was like, "That's weird. What the fuck did you do?" And they're like, "Cool stuff like vacation." I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Learning killer combos on Killer Instinct for Nintendo. That was my summer.
See, I didn't play video games a lot.
Oh yeah, I was really into video games back then. So that's why that's how I wasted my life.
But yeah. Yeah, and then high school probably was where it was like, I guess this is what I am.
All right.
Yeah, and then there's even stages past that, I think. Then you like graduate high school, and for you went to college. For me, it was like I had an idea of what an artist was. Then that idea slowly changes. I feel like even like this year, my idea has changed a bit from maybe like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Or, you know, it's like it's been a progression, but there's like milestones of like realizing how to be a successful artist is like a whole nother chunk of thingy. And then I'm sure there's going to be another thing in a couple of years where I'm like, success isn't, you know, once you hit, I assume once people are pretty successful in their career, there's probably a reevaluation of like your art career at that point. And, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say in high school when I realized like, okay, I'm going to go to art school and all that. And then once I got into art school, I was like, okay, there's no turning back at this point.
Right. Although there was, if you wanted to.
If you wanted to, yeah. I mean, plenty of people turn back. But not for me personally.
Yeah. Just, I was talking to your mom. There's still time. Still time to be a doctor. Think about it. All I'm saying is think about it, Sergio.
Well, it's online learning rapidly growing. Yeah.
That's like every mom.
Yeah.
Every mom of every artist. Like, you can still become a lawyer.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly.
I've never wanted to be a lawyer.
Let's see. My turn?
Yeah.
All right. Gerard asks, having this platform, you ever worry about getting canceled in this cancel culture world?
Yes.
I mean, what are we really going to get canceled from? I don't
know. I mean, after the whole fucking Colin Chulin thing, I was like, fuck, that is terrifying. And I've heard people be like, oh, well, you know, you don't have nothing to worry about, I have nothing to hide. I'm like, fuck that. I mean, in my opinion, like, I'm sure I've said some dumb shit on this podcast that if people cut and edit it correct, or like just cut it out of context, it probably made me sound like a fucking horrible person. And if they decided to end my career, now I've seen that happen to people. I'm like, fuck, you know. I mean, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if more and more people get called out for their shit. I'm hoping that's not true, but I don't see cancel culture slowing down at all. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I could easily sing like the male gaze being a hot topic, and every artist that paints females all of a sudden being a piece of shit. So
Interesting.
fuck if I care. I mean, but yeah, I wouldn't count it out.
What would canceling mean to you, though? Like you personally getting canceled, what would, like, how do you see that?
An intentional effort by a group of people in trying to stop you from doing your career.
Okay.
So like people like getting people fired nowadays. That's a big thing.
Right.
We obviously don't have like a job, but having the ability to make the money off of your career is the same thing.
Yeah.
You're not firing Colin Chulin, you're just making it extremely hard for him to survive off of his career. And to me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, people might not think that's canceling, but I don't give a fuck. I think it is. So
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like basically the definition of it.
Yeah. So that's
But I was just curious, like, do you think people would make an effort to be like, don't buy any Joshua Lawyer paintings because he said this on a podcast? Is that kind of what your fear is? That
I mean, it's not really a fear. It's just an idea, or it's just saying like, I'm not going to anticipate the future and what direction it might go. As far as like this whole like cancel culture, all I see is like big waves of like things, you know, of like, oh, this is now not cool. I'm like, okay, well, fuck, like,
I see.
if it steered in a direction,
Right, getting like swept up into this new way of thinking.
and the problem is I can't shut my fucking mouth. So if let's say like the like female gaze, right, or the male gaze, became like this anti thing in art, then all of a sudden anyone who paints females is now highlighted as like as a shitty person, let's say. And then in that scenario, subtlety is not the strong point of this cancel culture, you know. It's not like this thing where people are like, well, let's understand that every person is different. It's not necessarily that. It's how many like ducks can we shoot in the sky kind of mentality.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that world was created. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. And in that world, I would be fucking, you know, the asshole on the podcast, you know, not being woke enough or some shit.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that shit freaks me out. Seeing it happen to people, like seeing what happened to Colin really like was like, fuck, that's fucked. But yeah, but sure, it could happen.
Yeah, okay. It's not something like you are too worried about, but it's something that like has crossed your mind.
Sure, as far as like it could possibly happen, yeah. But like I'm not like worried about it or like sitting around being like fuck. Hopefully not me, because like, you know what I mean. Like I hope I'm too busy like doing my own shit. It's just it seems like no one's free. Pretty like everyone can be the target. Like I feel like I could literally pick a random person and then go, let's figure out how to prove that this person is a bad person. You know, in the like literally anyone. No one is. I mean, this is the whole, like, Jesus, you without sin throw the first stone. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like we're all human beings. We all have good and bad about us. It's just the human nature. I mean, I'm sure if I wanted to dig hard enough, I could find something on Mr. Rogers.
Sure.
As little as it may be, I'm sure I could find it. You know what I mean? So like, but I don't know. But understanding humans are also good is the part that probably gets lost in this day and age.
Right.
You know, so whatever. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. Including Goa. Yeah,
Am I going to get
please
another 1 star for this fucking section of...
That'd be the lamest reason. I would judge them highly.
God. But yeah. Sure. Cancel culture sucks. I don't fuck with it. But do whatever you want, kids.
All right. Got any more questions?
Oh, yeah. Tips on building a schedule routine for art when you have a full-time job.
It's been so long since I've had a full-time job that I don't really have to think about it as much. But it's pretty much like anything else. You gotta carve out time if you really want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
for you just kind of when you had a full-time job, you just saved your mental energy for afterwards, right?
Yeah. I mean, my job wasn't easy. I would definitely be drained some days, but yeah, I mean, I would draw every lunch for the most part.
Yeah.
And I have a home studio, and I just built the habit of hanging out in my home studio right when I got off of work.
Oh, okay.
Even if I didn't paint, it was just that's where I hang out until it's dark, and then we eat dinner, and then we usually hang out in the living room and watch a show. But I hang out in my studio for the majority of my day.
Okay.
And then, so I don't know this person's situation, but wherever they create, if you don't have a studio, make a desk where that's where you create and just hang out there with your art supplies there.
Right.
And fucking, try to push yourself. I mean, just try to create. Make it easy to hang out there. So maybe have a computer screen where you can watch YouTube clips or some shit.
Right.
Just make it easy to be there. And then you'll be there, and then you'll create, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. Pretty much just make it as easy on yourself to create as possible.
Yeah. And then you'll do it.
Yeah.
And build good habits.
Yeah, I think the more resistance you put up to yourself, the harder it's going to be after a long day like that.
Yeah. Human beings are good at talking themselves out of shit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're creative.
Exactly.
All right. Your turn.
Plague of Crows asks, why doesn't Josh start his own pencil company and make millions?
He said the same thing to me.
Oh, really?
How dare you ask the question twice? Well, first of all, I'm never going to start a pencil company.
Yeah.
But I've reached out to pencil brands to be like, hey, sponsor me with even for the podcast. I was like, we should try to get a sponsorship from Alvin, but they were like, sounds great, except for it was complicated based on distribution, so we weren't able to work it out.
Oh, okay.
But it would have been cool if we did.
Yeah.
Would have been cool if we did. Yeah.
Just screenshot every time somebody asks you that and be like, these are all the people I want to know.
Yeah.
Imagine if all of them bought a pencil.
Yeah. So we were working on it. Me and MJ, and maybe in the future we'll have something from one of the pencil brands I use regularly as like a sponsor for this podcast, or even just to give me free stuff, whatever you want to do. I'm open for ideas. All I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the closest to me doing it, is getting someone to financially make it so that I can just be like, that's the pencil.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have to be a pencil I actually use, but
Right. Would you, much like basketball players design their own shoes, would you want to design your own pencil?
I would be down with that.
Yeah.
What's her name? There's a lady that has one.
Really?
I actually think it's for Alvin, now that I think
Oh,
of it.
really? Huh. Yeah.
She has big eyes. Melvin?
Mab Graves? Yeah.
Mab Graves has one.
Okay.
But I think it was a thing where we had to go through the distributor rather than through Alvin, is what I remember. Like
okay.
Our distributor, you would have to talk to them.
So whoever Alvin buys their stuff from.
Yeah, it's like no, not who Alvin. So like we've worked with Savoir Faire or whatever a little bit. But they're like the distributor for like Isabi brushes.
Okay.
So like we wouldn't like, if I was to like get a sponsorship of Isabi brushes, it would probably be through Savoir Faire or whatever
Okay.
the fuck you say it. Not through Isabi itself, if that makes sense.
That's a French ass name.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, I think that's how Alvin's would work. I'd have to
Gotcha.
reach out to their distributor, and their distributor is going to be much more corporate than like Savoir Faire or whatever.
Okay.
God damn, I feel like I'm butchering the fuck out of the name.
I'm pretty sure it's close enough. Yeah.
Where they're like very specifically art supplies. Alvin's going to be much more around like stationary draftsmanship stuff, which is less art centric.
Got you.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's where the issue would come into play.
I
Trying
see.
to find how they could, our brands in quotations,
Right.
align. Yeah, I think that's where we ran through. Like that's where we came to an issue.
I see.
But yeah, hustle.
Hustle and flow, guys.
We're trying. But yeah. So yeah, that's. Why don't you? Well, that was very specifically.
Yeah. Why don't I start a pencil
Well,
company?
you said, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet I could figure out a way to like make some wood pencils, right? I don't want to figure that out. I was like, for a second, I was like, I bet I could figure it out. Then it's like, then I have to figure out the wood artist would love to have.
Yeah.
That would create the best like carving
Uh-huh.
feel.
Yeah.
It's like someone already does all this shit.
Yeah. Exactly. Just slap your name on it.
Yeah. Yeah. The move would be find out who manufactures the pencils I like, hire them to make some for me,
Yeah.
and then buy my own little like wooden like embossing thing,
Yeah.
and then just doing that.
I mean, that's more or less what Trickel does with the brushes, like the brush custom sets. They
Yeah.
just,
You just find the manufacturer. Which I should probably do now that I think about it. That would be fucking cool.
it would be actually.
Who makes those square eraser pencils that people seem to love? And how do I get my hands on that guy?
Square eraser. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
All right. So I haven't said anyone's name except for now. I'm just
well.
Chuck Tingley. I'm a real asshole. Sorry, guys. First of all, he's the one that wrote the fucking like book of a
Yeah.
question. Which, how dare you? You know I'm dyslexic if you listen. But no. Okay, so one of the questions is, do you ever have the urge to put all of your creative energy into one style or body of work? I think this is specifically towards you, because it says my question to Sergio, and then like 12
And then
lines
a
down,
wall of text.
it says there's one question mark, and it says that.
Wait, what was the question again?
Do you ever have the urge to put all of your creative energy into one style or body of work?
I do. And that tends to be like for like to make my marketing life easier. Like based on anything I've ever read, when it comes to like the experts on marketing, that's like the advice they give you. But I just don't work that way. Like I would be bored way too quickly.
But you also did like Painted Bruises, which is like very much that.
But I did that for a while, but like it lasted like only so many years before I wanted to do something different.
But that's still that. I mean,
but I also was doing landscapes and stuff during the whole time.
Right.
So I feel like putting my eggs in one basket would be like only doing the figurative stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it just didn't really work for me to do it that way. I just knew that I would get tired of it.
Yeah. I think in general, that's probably the case. I mean, we just recently talked about that, I think. Where like you do like multiple different thingies. I just find other creative outlets to like scratch my other itches.
Right.
Which is like woodworking, and graffiti played a role for a bit.
Oh, okay.
For years.
Are you still doing much woodworking?
I plan on doing a decent amount. That's a woodworking tool I just bought.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. After this body of work, I'm planning on finally making a coffee table for the living room.
Oh, cool.
And I have to make a blanket chest, and then there's something else I want to make.
That's cool.
And a couple other things. We're planning on remodeling our kitchen, so it's gonna be some carpentry stuff in that for that. And yeah, I mean, I just don't have the time right now. I've been too fucking busy this year. But I see the light soon, so I'll be excited about that.
Yeah, I think for your art, like you're a lot more like focused and clear on what you're trying to say with it than I am. So it makes it easier to stay on track, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for the most part, my subject matter stays the same. It's just the narrative in that thing that like changes. So like, I don't think of like my body, like I get like hyper focused on a body of work, like what I'm working on now. But the second I'm done with this, I'm off to like totally different ideas. So even though the work is kind of all cohesive when you look at it all, to me, it's like all very different in what it's trying to say.
Sorry, that's been like distracting.
I'm like, what are you looking at? Our neighbor's getting their roof redid.
Yeah.
Do you want me to close the blinds?
Oh, no, it's fine.
Well, yeah.
It's like when you're at a bar and like the TV's on. It's like,
I know. It's like all of a sudden I'm a professional at basketball watching. I haven't watched the game or know anything about it all.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. The worst there was a bar that closed during COVID, but they would always play these videos that were kind of like extreme sports gone wrong a lot of times. So I'd be like,
oh, yeah.
And
At a local barrel RP.
Yeah, exactly. And you would just watch these like big wipeouts or whatever. It's like the most distracting television.
Yeah. Although probably nothing's more distracting than Cozy Car.
Oh, yeah. They're just like playing porn.
Yeah.
Is that place still open?
I don't know, actually.
But yeah. Wild. And then he had one more question. I think it like kind of for me. It's based around, can you pinpoint a time in your paint career, like a certain body of work, that was a catalyst or a huge growth spurt for you to connect to the way you paint now? Or has it been a slow burn?
It's been mostly a slow burn for me, but like we were saying before, like the Painted Roses stuff was like a catalyst for people like knowing who I was for sure, and it gave me an excuse to kind of paint what I wanted to paint at the time.
Right.
So it made me pretty productive in that way.
For sure.
So yeah, for me that would have been 2010. So. I don't know, beyond that, how I'm painting now, probably just starting to do like plein air events, like 'cause I've been painting landscapes mostly. So that kind of got me into that world of painting and showing landscapes. So I started doing plein air events around a little bit before doing the Painted Roses stuff. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And,
Would you say for you is like when you started painting in oils?
what I would say is probably like the big catalyst for me as far as like my work is weirdly like my plateaus. You know, it's like almost when
Sorry. I'm listening, but yeah.
Are you sure, Sergio?
Yes.
There was a big like wait, huh? Were like the plateaus of the of my work. Like I feel like when I'm getting bored is usually when I'm actually creating probably like the best technical work of that, like of whatever I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
But it's just, that's usually when I'm like forced to try to figure out how to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whenever I look at like huge growth, it's only because I'm bored. Like that's where like that. So it's almost like that body of work becomes the catalyst for growth or, but I don't know. For success, I don't know. I don't control that part of like my career really.
Yeah.
I can create as much work as I think is like awesome, but if people don't like it, then they don't like it.
Right.
And if people don't buy it, they don't buy it. I mean,
Yeah, that's like the hardest thing to predict.
yeah, I can try my hardest and all those type of things, but the success thing, I maybe I haven't hit that what he's talking about. But as far as like growth as an artist, it's always when I'm bored.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. But I think that's all the questions I have.
Okay. There's a couple more over here. How did you realize, this is by Choco Mint Joby. How did you realize that you can make a living off of your art? How did you start?
How did I'm still figuring that out.
Like specifically realizing that you can make a living off your art, isn't that like pretty recent, like this year basically? Or
Yeah, I mean and still I'm still learning and still trying to figure that out, how to be better at that. Yeah, I mean I have some things I'm figuring out right now that I don't have the answers to, that potentially in like a couple months I'll have better answers. And then when that happens, I'll come back and be like, oh, what I thought earlier was kind of not perfect, but now I'm way better at it. So yeah, it's all a work in progress.
Yeah.
At least for now.
I mean, yeah, for me for sure as well.
But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, when did I figure out I can be a full-time artist? I didn't think that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, me either. I was thinking about that question earlier when I read
MJ
it.
didn't know that. I've had this conversation with MJ where she's like, I didn't know people could create artwork just for them, like their work. Like, she didn't know that was a thing. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, I just didn't know until she like discovered juxtapose in like high school. And she was like, people create artwork for themselves and like they make a living off of that. Like,
What did she think people did? Like some sort of illustration only?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've heard other
I guess that
artists.
kind of makes sense to think that way.
Yeah, I've heard other artists kind of have like say similar things, but for me, it was never that thing. I always thought like being an artist was a job.
Right. Yeah. I never saw it as not being a job. I think that's what kind of got me thinking, like, even as a kid, like you could be an artist for a living.
Yeah. So for me, it was never. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like when you're young, you think you have an idea of how to be successful at art,
Yeah.
or what an artist as a job is.
Yeah.
And that idea slowly changes over time, and the hope is that it changes in a good direction. Oh, by the way, I watched that fucking documentary you brought up a long time ago.
Wait, which one?
The one about the auctions.
Oh,
Yeah. It sucked.
Yeah. Did it piss you off?
I mean, I think I was already kind of prepared going into it. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I was like, I get mad about people talking about art almost all the time.
Yeah.
Like anytime, I feel like the art, like people that talk about art because they're part of the art world that aren't artists, I feel like for the most part, they're the people I get the most annoyed about when hearing them talk about art because they don't know. That's it, Sergio. You're cut off.
Okay. He's closing the blinds on me. You helped me when I couldn't help myself.
I know. You just loved watching those people.
Hey, you don't know if that's the next inspiration for my next painting series.
Hey, they're not going anywhere. So, so after we finish recording, welcome back, Sergio.
Some strong male workers. It's fine.
What the fuck? But yeah.
What's the name of that? The cost of
everything for sale.
He sounds like cost of everything.
Cost of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah. I hated hearing everyone talk.
Oh, I know.
And even
that was the worst part.
Even some of the artists in that world, I hated hearing them talk.
Right.
So it was like everyone in this world is just horrible garbage people.
Yeah. I think Jeff Koons was in it a lot, right?
Yeah. And then there was another guy who was like, he was like another artist, and he was like that, like, I don't know, that fucking cliche of like, art is, and then just some vague bullshit, and you're like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Like, and they're all mad because, I used to sell paintings for millions and now I don't. You're like, shut up. Leave it. Get it. What's your point?
The guy who's supposed to be like the guy you care about.
Yeah. I didn't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, neither did I.
I thought, like, you're full of shit too, dude. Like,
Right.
You're all full of shit. So he's just mad that he's not in the full of shit train anymore.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I want to still be a part of it. But you're trying to pretend it's full of shit while simultaneously being like, why am I not in it anymore?
Yeah.
Get out of here, loser. Fucking idiot. But yeah, what was that art podcast where the fucking lady always drove?
Art Attack?
Art Attack, yeah. I was trying to remember that. It reminded me of that a lot. Like that lady, like all these people, they think they know what they're talking about because they grew up wealthy or figured out how to convince people that the art they think is good is good. But it's all based off of bullshit. There's a moment where like they're like, oh, Koons is he's like showing it like in front of big buildings now. He's like public art kind of stuff. They're like, oh, once you do that, then your art loses value. And you're like, shut up. It's like all these like ideas that are just make believe. It's just make believe rules that they all made up. You know, like the guy's like, oh, you never buy a painting with brown in it. Shut up, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Probably every painting you have has brown in it. You fucking idiot. He's like, oh, that's the rule. That's the rule. What rule? You make up bullshit rules, and then you guys all believe it, and then you're like, that's why this one's valuable. No one's not. Like, okay, idiot. You're all idiots who just happen to have money and understand how to make things valuable. That's their job.
Right.
Is to make things valuable.
Right.
You know, it's like the stock market. There's people that can manipulate things to benefit from them. That's what they're good at. But it's all make-believe shit. It drove me crazy hearing these people talk. Like one of the things one of the guys kept saying was like, oh, this is a very important piece of his work.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're so obsessed about like the piece that they got is one of their great pieces. Like, okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it happens to be the one you own.
Yeah. It's just you see a lot of like Donald Trump and these people. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all like, it's the greatest thing to ever exist. And you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
okay, you guys are hype men for your bullshit. Which maybe I should take a note from something.
Yeah, seriously.
But at the same time, it's like you guys are all full of shit. Like there's no logic behind what you're saying. It's all just like make believe rules in some weird money art religion that was fucking dumb. And they're all a part of it, and they're all trying to hate on it while they keep pushing it forward. But yeah, horrible documentary. I'm trying not to hate watch too many things right now, so I was like, I gotta fucking watch something I enjoy now.
How long ago did you watch that one?
Probably like 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh, okay. What made you think of watching that?
I just had it on my computer. I always have like things lined up. I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's watch it.
Okay.
I watched that. And another documentary. I don't know if you suggested it, but it was about like a comic book artist who ended up being like transgender.
Oh, yeah.
Was that you that
Yeah.
that? Oh yeah, that one was pretty cool.
I like that one.
Interesting.
Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
Yeah, that one I thought was way more interesting of a documentary. Didn't hate watch it.
Yeah.
People were actually talented and respected talent. His techniques were actually fucking awesome.
Oh, I know. I love that.
Yeah, he paints super cool. He's one of those people. Like the thing that about him was that like that comfort in like in the risk and like in like the. If you watch that and you think about his technique, it's a finesse thing. Like there's something about how he just goes for it and he's like comfortable in like the craziness.
That's true.
He just nails it with like finesse. You're like,
It's a finesse man.
so yeah.
Big influence on my work early on, especially in school. Looked at Jeffrey Jones' work a lot.
For sure. Yeah. An interesting story. Not the best documentary because it just kind of like ends.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay, so he died. Like they don't even mention it. They're just like at a funeral, and you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
It's there is like that movie, and then there was that movie.
Struggle?
Is it called Struggle?
Right.
Yeah, those two. There is something like very sad about like these like extremely talented artists, and they kind of like die poor and alone. You're like, fuck, that's sad.
Right.
But yeah. And like way unappreciated. I mean, there's like a little handful of like people who love their work, but for the most part, they're forgotten.
Yeah.
While at the same time, people that fucking splatter paint are looked up at as like geniuses in the art world. Real fuck you to them.
Jackson Pollock? More like Jackson Bollocks. Zing!
Hey. What else we got? Did you have any-
Banksy? No, thanksy. Zing!
No thanks. Did you say that on a podcast or something?
Maybe. I don't remember.
How did we figure out that joke?
I think I just came up with it just to have him say. Let's see. One last one. How to stay motivated while doing the busy work admin part of being an artist.
How to what?
How to stay, I guess they mean, how do you stay motivated while doing the busy work admin part of being an artist?
I'm horrible at that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, emailing stuff. I do it, but I don't like it.
Right.
MJ does a large part of like submitting to mural shit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's a huge like burden that she takes on.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, I get it done, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I have way more of a tolerance for it than you do. 'Cause I just end up having to do it all. I mean, hopefully at a certain point I can ease that burden on myself, and being able to like farm out some of the busy work of all that stuff. But for the most part, I just know that, okay, once I'm done, I can like get back to painting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the light at the end of the tunnel kind of is what keeps me motivated as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I just know that it's a necessary thing that I have to do in order to, keep the lights on in the studio, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things. There's no getting around it. So
Yeah.
just have to do it.
Yeah, I'm okay at like other stuff, like my websites, like working on my website and those type of things, and like social media. But I'm not big into email or like reaching out admin type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff to me is like, I don't know. It's just not I just haven't built those fucking habits.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yep. That's it. That's all the questions.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right.
Well, we're past 2 hours anyway. So
Are we?
yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I thought I was gonna get more. Well, because I always feel like I will see a question right after we finish recording.
Oh, uh-huh.
I did.
Yeah, that tends to
but
happen.
It's not that good.
Oh.
What's your motivation for continuing to create? That one's not bad. I don't know. Whatever. We have recorded a mini-sode anyways, right?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, people.
We'll get to any questions that come on. We'll save them for a later Q&A, I guess.
All right. Well, this has been Waiting to Dry.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still listening, fuck off.